Hey there, hi, welcome to the channel. I am Garrett and thanks for spending some time with me today because in this video, we're talking all about how to make your kitchen more functional and some easy tips you should remember and you could do to your space today. The first of which is all about getting rid of some of the unnecessary things you have like decor. Stop decorating your kitchen with decor. You don't need it. You can find beautiful utensils and items you will actually cook with to decorate your kitchen with. Some of those things can be a beautiful vessel with great utensils in it that you regularly use. Wooden utensils are great. I love a cutting board in a kitchen. Also a charcuterie board can be great. You could do a large fruit bowl that's really good in your kitchen. Salt and pepper grinders, great to have in those spaces. My favorites are those cutting boards and charcuterie boards because we can use them to lean up against a backsplash and maybe cover some of those unsightly outlets that we all have. I know a lot of designers will just say, move the outlets and put them under the cabinets, but if you're not doing a big renovation, you're stuck with them, so we can cover them up and disguise them a little bit. There's also some like electrical components, extension cords that are flat that you could get to plug into outlets, so it's really streamlined behind those cutting boards and charcuterie boards. Check out my Amazon storefront, linked in the description box down below to shop some of them. But decorate smart and use items you actually need to use in your kitchen. That way we can eliminate some of the clutter and mess on the countertops, and we can make the most of the space in your cabinetry that you have. That's another big way to make your kitchen more functional, is to increase the organization you have. Once again, shop some organizers in my Amazon storefront, but get organizers that fit your cabinetry and really think about what it is you need. Do you need more plate storage? Let's get a stand that will double the amount of space we have in our cabinetry. Or, you could have some custom shelves made to fit in those cabinets perfectly to increase that space. In drawers, there's a million and one organizers. You can get spice drawer organizers. I love those. You can get cutlery organizers, of course. I'm also a big fan of just getting like a rubber liner for a drawer. That way I can put all of my cooking utensils in there and they don't slide around when the drawer opens and closes. 10 out of 10 tip right there, and it's super simple. Anyone could do that. There are DIYs and hacks out there to make custom organizers for your drawers, but you do have to know how to use a little bit of tools and things like that to create those. I'm a big fan of drawers in a kitchen because of the organization, but adding as many as possible is going to be the best bet for you. Now, that does take a little bit of upgrading or renovation to do, so if you're in that position, add as many drawers as possible. It will be a game changer for your home because drawers take the fullest advantage of the cubic square footage within a cabinet. So there's just, a lot more space. Like, what are you doing? Are you getting on your hands and knees to get into the back of the cabinet? Maybe it's your fantasy, but it's not mine. I would rather have a drawer that allows me access to the back of that cabinet. So adding in as many drawers as possible is much better for storage and organization in a kitchen. Now, if you're not redoing all of your cabinetry, you can of course get some inserts fixed in place that have that pull-out feature, or like I said, you can get extra shelves made to add additional storage into your cabinetry. And remember, just because you're doing some customization after the fact doesn't mean it can't be done or it shouldn't be done. Cabinets are made to be changed over time and you can have things added onto them. Just make sure it looks good and professional. So I recommend a woodworker for those sorts of projects, but it's totally doable and you can upgrade your kitchen as is to be way more functional without having to do a giant massive renovation or rip everything out. Now, obviously it takes getting creative to come up with some of these solutions. No matter what project you're working on in your home, it's worth talking to a designer to get some creative ideas. You could always book a one-on-one virtual design consultation with me where I can look at your home and answer some of those difficult questions using the link in the description box down below or by going to intro.co/GarrettLeChic. And as a designer, one of my favorite things to add functionality to a home that a lot of people think is decorative but really does change the way you interact with your space is the hardware on your cabinetry. Upgrade it, or at the very least, add some. A lot of people, you would not believe it, they don't have any hardware on their cabinetry and they live with their homes like that for years. Hardware on cabinetry is a big deal. And what I always recommend you do to get the most function and usefulness out of your cabinetry is to put knobs on doors and pulls on drawers. Say that 10 times fast. But having knobs on cabinet doors means that you don't have to touch them. Your hands aren't gonna get caught in that pull or anything like that. Super simple and easy to open up. It's one little little bit you have to touch and boom, it's open, good to go. Plus we get a little bit of variation from what's happening on the drawer. For a drawer, I like a pull better because it's just more functional and easier to open and get access into a drawer. But here's a pro tip. If you have a long drawer, try your best to get one oversized pull instead of two smaller ones, because two smaller pulls, you'll have to put your hands on both of them at the same time to open that drawer so it doesn't get stuck, but one large one in the center means you can open that drawer with one hand instead of two. So be sure you're using some of these best practices to get the most functionality out of the space. And a part of changing out the hardware on your cabinetry can be about your faucet. You don't realize the amount of functionality that comes out of a sink faucet in a kitchen. Really, it makes a big deal because that's one of the most heavily used and useful items in your space. So if you're looking to increase the functionality, let's look for a faucet that offers some additional features to it. And I'm not talking about, oh, it's got, you know, a special sort of lever or something on it. I mean, there's all sorts of things. You can get them that have expendable necks. I prefer something that doesn't pull out, but it just has a longer kind of goose neck with a expansion or stretchy cord on it. Those I just find to be more functional because I don't have to fight getting a hose back into a faucet and under the cabinet. That just seems unnecessarily difficult to me. I don't like those. There's also faucets you can get that touch on and off, so if your hands are messy, you don't have to touch a little lever to turn them on. You can also get faucets, they're quite popular in the UK, but gaining popularity in the US, that have temperature adjustment settings, so you can have boiling water coming out of it. Obviously, it's a little bit of a danger zone depending on your family and lifestyle. Remember, you can also go with an accent faucet. It doesn't have to match the metal everywhere else. Right now, a big trend in kitchens is mixing stainless steel appliances with brass hardware on cabinet and mixing a bronze faucet. So you can play around with that, add functionality and aesthetic and design-wise. That's one of the best places to put a little bit of an upgrade into your kitchen. Even if you're not doing a full renovation, if you just have one of those older styled plastic faucets, now's the time to upgrade it and really get your space looking good. Now, when it comes to hardware in kitchens and we're talking about cabinetry and door styles and all of these things, my clients right now, when they're moving into their forever homes, they're looking for ultra low maintenance, they're loving flat-faced cabinets. It's not for every home, it's not for every style, it's not for everyone certainly, but if you're looking to have a kitchen that is purely functional, those flat-faced cabinets are going to be your best friend because they don't have grooves on them, they don't have ledges on them where dust, dirt, and debris can collect. They're easier to clean and wipe off if they get wet or get a little smudge on them or something. This is something to consider. And you don't have to have a flat fronted cabinet that is shiny or glossy. We see that quite often, and that's okay, but you can get them in authentic, genuine, solid woods that are matte or satin finishes on them. They can be beautiful and get you some of the warmth that you typically expect with a lot of detailed cabinetry door profiles that you maybe don't always see in flat face cabinets. So be on the lookout for them because this is something that can increase the functionality of your kitchen and space, and you can juxtapose styles too. A lot of people look at this and they're like, oh, that's modern, I don't want it. Well, if we add in some traditional details like a great piece of crown molding, beautiful baseboards everywhere else, we have this be an accent point in the space, you can do this and get your space looking and feeling exactly how you want without compromising on anything, especially the functionality. Flat face cabinets are not for everybody, but they can be if you are 100% function oriented in your space and you're looking to improve that a little bit. Now, if you are changing out your cabinet doors, or I don't know, you could be doing a whole kitchen renovation and watching this for some pro tips, love that for you, book a consultation with me beside the point. I recommend upgrading the hinges on your cabinets. And this is something you can do whether you're renovating or not, but doing soft close hinges actually adds a lot of functionality that people don't realize. They think soft close hinges are just so, you're not slamming cabinet doors, which is a plus, I will give it that. But the great part about soft close hinges that a lot of people don't realize is that they have a bit of a suction feature almost. So if you gently tap your cabinet doors and you don't have soft close hinges, often they will come close to closing, but not completely. And then you may bump into them, you may get caught or snagged on them, your clothing on the handles or something if they're out of place. But soft close hinges, you give it a little bit of pressure and it pulls that cabinet door in completely so it's fully flush and closed. It is something that a lot of people are after and expecting in 2025, so be sure you're thinking about it in your home. And when it comes to your home and you're looking for some creative ideas, some interesting solutions, or you just are one of us that loves interior design, I'd like to invite you to join our community of design lovers here. be sure you take a moment, hit the subscribe button, become a part of our LeChic family. We would love to have you here, and I'd also greatly appreciate if everyone watching could give this video a like. Now, one of my personal favorite features to have in a kitchen is an absence of something, and that would be a gap, a filled in gap of space above a cabinet. And there's lots of ways you can do this, but I want to share with you a creative idea that I'm seeing right now. So there's lots of things you could do, like adding a soffit above. And this is something I often recommend to clients who want a partial renovation in their kitchen by filling in that soffit, adding a beautiful molding on top of that cabinetry, and it looks like it's built in and very custom. But something I recently ran into with a client was she didn't have a lot of space, didn't really make sense to add a gap, but the kitchen was very dark. And she was actually a little bit taller. So we raised the cabinets up, or at least that's what I recommended, was to raise them up about 4 inches to fill in the gap of space above and shift the shadow line on the countertop. And she was very taken with it. But a DIY that's happening right now that people are really liking to do, and a creative idea I want to share with you, is actually raising your cabinetry and adding a cubby underneath. Now, this is an open shelf, and a lot of people will not be a fan of this, but it creates the illusion that the cabinets are much taller than they are, and you can do this in an accent detail, be it a stained wood or a painted feature. You can add this in without having to disturb the backsplash, and I think that's really great. You get that built-in full look, and you can add some detail into this too. You can add decorative trim, you could add corbels onto something like this. It's a creative idea that I always want to make sure you're aware of, and I share these with you when I see them because it could get you that really high-end luxury and customized look and feel without having to splurge too much for it and use your existing cabinetry. Now, when we are talking about cabinetry and kitchens, one of the most functionality driven features in this space is going to be your countertops and backsplashes. The biggest trend in countertops and backsplashes right now are slab backsplashes that either match or contrast with your countertops. Love it, beautiful detail, and I recommend it all of the time. A lot of my clients love it. It's not for every home and it's not for every budget, and that's totally okay, but if you're going to do this, one of the most functionality driven details you can add to your countertops or backsplash is to do them in a honed finish. The reason I say this is because shiny finishes show absolutely everything. Every fingerprint, every grease spot, every little speck of dust you will see on a shiny finish. But if you go for a honed or even a leatherized countertop, you will not see a lot of those spots, especially if you're doing something delicate like marble. A honed finish on marble will hide a lot of the etching and wear spots, as where shiny finishes will definitely showcase and show those wear spots off, and you may not want that. Now, one of the top things you can do that doesn't require any renovation or changes in your kitchen, you can have done in a day, is actually to declutter. A lot of people will overlook this fact pure and simply because they have more things than their space can hold, and that's totally okay. But decluttering your countertops will mean that you don't need a bigger kitchen. Most people don't actually need them. Or see if there's something you can maybe add to the space to add additional storage space into that kitchen area that will relieve a lot of the clutter on the countertops. Declutter those areas and make them more open and usable, and your kitchen will feel like it's a completely brand new space without you having to make any major renovations. Now, here's a little bonus tip for you, because sometimes you have an existing space and you can't make all of the changes you want to, but one of the best functionality and features you can add into your kitchen is actually under cabinet lighting. You can get rechargeable lights that magnetically stick under your cabinets. You can pull them off and recharge them as needed. Shoppable in my Amazon storefront, so be sure you check out the link in the description box down below to check that out. But these add so much functionality without you having to have an electrician out and wire all of these things. Yes, it has to be recharged. Okay, it has to be plugged in. You keep that cord handy, and you can actually leave them in place sometimes. They're just magnetically stuck on, so you can remove them. Super, super great idea. A 10 out of 10 idea for your kitchen to improve the functionality, add some additional lighting, and make it more functional if you can't wire in those LED lights. This is definitely something to think about. Like I said, bonus tip, check out the link in the description box down below to shop them on my Amazon storefront. Well, there you have it, everyone. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure you check out this one right here, all about some dated kitchen design you should keep in 2025 because it's coming back, and it was just great to begin with. Be sure you check it out, and I will see you over there.